little bit closer to the draft now, just over 2 weeks away in the NFL. And it's Masters Week, so who better to call on than our guy Zack Price? You know, covers.com, Fanatics, he's all over the place, at Zackonomics on X. Zack, good morning. Masters Week has arrived, and you got your green jackets. You're ready to go.
So who better to call on than our guy Zack Price?
Rise and shine is the best week of the year, Chris. Masters Week, I'm ready to rock and roll.
On X.
Well, let's start with maybe some of your favorite angles, some of your favorite plays. We talked about this a couple minutes ago. Scotty Scheffler, way too short a number. It's 4-1. He's the clear-cut favorite to do it this week at Augusta. And then we've got, always interesting numbers on Rory. Still searching close out the career Grand Slam at Augusta. You've got some of the live guys, defending champion John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, who maybe some people haven't seen since the last major. So there's a lot of different angles on this. What are you looking at early?
Yeah, absolutely not betting Scotty Scheffler out of the gates here at 4 or 5 to 1. Way too short. I don't like taking any single digit odds out of the gates at Augusta. Thursday traditionally is a very difficult day, and this year we're expecting some weather. And they haven't even released the tee times yet, so I don't even know where Scotty's teeing off. I think 8 out of the last 10 majors, the winner has come from the late Thursday, early Friday. Here, so definitely not starting off with Scheffler at 4.5 to 1.
A lot of times, Zach, as you well know, every year when we have this conversation about, okay, who are we going to bet on, what are we going to do, what's the plan of attack for the Masters, it's the same names. Are there any names that you like this week that if we were to go back in time a few months ago, you weren't considering them for the Masters? Any surprises on your own card?
I don't get surprised at the Masters, Joe. With the course history here and the traditions, I know who's going to perform this week. The guys come and they're ready to play. We saw it last year. Phil Mickelson came in second. Patrick Reed came in fourth. The guy you guys were talking about on the last segment, Russell Henley, he's from Macon, Georgia. He came in fourth last year. He's had, I think, 5 straight top 30s, you guys mentioned. These are the guys I'm looking at. I'm not surprised by anything right now. Maybe Neiman, he's really hot. He's had a decent track record here at Augusta in his 3 attempts, so he's a guy I would keep my eye on.
A guy that always comes up when it comes to golf on our show, Will Zalatoris. It looks like he's back from injury. Any value on him? Would you bet on him or just leave it alone this time?
A guy that always comes up.
So Will Zalatoris almost bankrupted me a couple years ago because he came in second as a debutant. And we all know no first-timer has won at the Masters since 1979, and he almost did it. So he definitely woke me up right there. He came in 6th the following year, but he did miss the cut last year. But he's definitely a threat with that 2nd and that 6th in his course history at Augusta. You got to keep an eye on Willie too.
Zack Price at Zackonomics on Twitter with us here talking Masters on BetQL Daily presented by BetMGM. This has been the year, at least early in the season, Zack, of the underdog, right? The long shots. Is that something we could see this week? You mentioned course history is something that does play very strongly at Augusta National, but is there someone down the board who you look at and say, okay, just due to recent form, maybe there's a long shot worth taking?
So I think you do have to keep an eye on the middle shot, so to speak. In the past, we had Patrick Reed won it at 55 to 1. Matsuyama won it in 2021 at 62 to 1. Sergio, he was 45 to 1. I'm looking at my notes here. Danny Willett won it at 66 to 1. So I think you do want to pay attention to that range. So guys in that range this year that I'm thinking about, Corey Connors has a really good history here. He missed the cut last year, but he had 3 straight top 10s. He's about 80 to 1. So I like him. I mentioned Henley, 80 to 1. So I would keep an eye on kind of that range, the 40s to 80s.
How do you look at the live guys? How do we handicap it? Form always a big part of it, and a handful of these live guys have great course history.
Love the live guys in the Masters. I loved them last year when everyone was writing them off. And we saw it. Like, we got Dustin Johnson. We have Phil Mickelson. Why? Call me crazy. They called me crazy last year. I think he's going to have a great Masters. John Rahm, I don't think even really counts right now. As talking about a live guy, he won it last year. No one's repeated at the Masters since Tiger in 2001, 2002. I don't think Rahm's going to win, but I do think he will finish, in the top. Cam Smith, Patrick Reed, Brooks Koepka, I love at around 18 to 20 to 1. I absolutely love Koepka. He was leading the Masters last year on Sunday, and he actually had a bad round on Sunday, and that prevented him from winning his 5th major. So I really like Brooks.
Around 18 to 20 to 1. I absolutely love Koepka. He was leading the Masters last year on Sunday.
Do you bet much like the top 5, top 10, top 20 markets? Anyone you have your eye on?
I really like Brooks.
So those markets have a high hold. The bookmakers hold a lot of juice on those, and you got to be careful about dead heats. MGM has maybe the best rules in the industry on ties. They will pay you out in full. So I would be betting some top 10s and some top 20s. Top 5s are really tough. Maybe it's Scheffler at about even money at a top 5, but other than that, I would probably stick to the top 10 and 20s. Aaron, I love going for long shots for the top 20. So a guy like Nicholson for last week. Look at the guys who are 100 to 1 or higher. If you actually like them to play at Augusta well, I would bet them in the top 20. A guy like Justin Rose. How about a guy like Adam Scott, who's made 18 of the last 19 putts, including 14 in a row? He's about 100 to 1. I would look at him for the top 20. So that's the way I'm going to play the top 20. I'm looking at long shots and trying to catch some decent odds on them, not to win, but to place well.
Zack Price with us talking Masters here on BetQL Daily, presented by BetMGM. What about, you mentioned Phil, what about some of those other veteran names, the most recognizable names, right? Like people are going to walk into this week and maybe it's the first time they've watched golf all year, maybe the first time they've bet golf all year because it's the Masters and they see a Sergio, they see a Patrick Reed, they see a name they recognize. Where is there some opportunity with some of those recognizable veterans?
So I look for these guys, Chris, in their head-to-head matchups, or maybe a 3-ball. And so I do love, when it comes to the Masters, I love the veterans. I love the guys who have played here. I love the guys who have worn green jackets. When I build my spreadsheet and my model for this tournament, I highlight in green guys that have won it before. So Sergio Garcia played fantastic this week on the Live Tour. I would absolutely look for him in a matchup against maybe a less experienced player. Patrick Reed came in 4th last year. I want to say Patrick Reed has made 6 straight cuts, including his win in 2018. So he's made the last 6 straight. So those are the kind of guys that I do want to try to find them in a matchup against a less experienced player or somebody who maybe is just like a great PGA Tour player but hasn't performed in the majors. The Masters is a totally different ball game than your regular tournament.
All right, Zach, so throughout the conversation, you've talked about many different golfers that you like and your thought process, how you go about betting this tournament. But as far as your outright run down the list for us, even if you're repeating some of the guys that you're already betting.
Sure. So, like I mentioned, I can't bet Scheffler out of the gates. I want to get him Saturday morning before his round on Saturday, assuming he's come back from the past. Rory McIlroy has a horrible history right now on Thursday, so I don't want to bet him out of the gates. Jon Rahm, defending champion, I just mentioned he hasn't, that hasn't happened where it's back-to-back winner since 2002. So I'm eliminating the top 3 guys. Guys that I think actually have a really good shot at this. Hideki Matsuyama, the 2021 champion, 20 to 1. Jordan Spieth, he is maybe one of the greatest masters of all masters. He has 5 top 3s in his career. And even though it seems like he's not on his game, or he came in, I want to say 4th last year. So those are 2 guys that I would definitely take a look at. I'm also going to take a look at, I mentioned Brooks Koepka. I have to include him. Tony Finau has made 6 cuts in a row. Top 10 Tony, he might be good for a top 10. He'd be a sneaky outright there if he can finally get it done. So those are the kind of guys I am looking to win it all. Matt Fitzpatrick, okay? He has 8 straight made cuts here. We know he won the U.S. Open. I think he could be someone who comes through on Sunday and actually wins this tournament.
So those are the kind of guys I am looking to win.
Hideki is interesting because he comes into this with a win this season and 4 other top 25 finishes. Do you think there's enough value on him? It's down to 20 to 1 now. Or 22, I think there's a 22 out there.
Hideki is
Would you still
interesting
bet it
because he
now?
comes into this
Right, so
win this
before he
season
won,
and
Aaron, and he had that magical, I think it was like
finishes.
61 or 2 on Sunday to win,
Do
he
you
was
think
like in the
there's enough
50s.
value on him? It's down to
So that value has really been sucked out. But he's made 9 straight cuts here at Augusta, and he has won before.
Right,
So I think you can take a flyer on him in the 20s, absolutely. Maybe get a little before the tournament, and like I mentioned, Thursday's really tough. These guys aren't trying to shoot 5-6 under par on Thursday. Maybe he shoots an even par, maybe a 1 or 2 under. I would jump on him at even better odds. So maybe put a little bit on Hideki pre-tournament, and then watch him and get him Friday morning, Saturday.
These guys aren't trying to shoot 5-6 under par on
Zach
Thursday.
Price with us here on BetQL Daily, presented by BetMGM, talking Masters. It doesn't really have much to do with the gambling aspect, the betting aspect of the Masters, Zach, but looks like there's a good chance we get Tiger out
Zack
on the
Price
course.
with us here. BetQL Daily, presented by
Just for
BetMGM,
what it
talking
does for
Masters.
golf,
It doesn't really have much
to have
do
Tiger
with the
out
gambling
there.
aspect,
Um,
the betting
How much
aspect
are you
of
looking
the
forward to
Masters,
seeing him out
Zach,
there and
looks
seeing
like
what
there's a
he's
good chance we
capable
get
of doing?
Tiger.
Even if, like I said, it's not something we're betting on. It's more about, hey, can he get through to Saturday? And if he does, do we have some sort of fairy tale storybook thing going on? How much will you be paying attention to Tiger?
Capable of doing, even if, like I said,
Chris, I'm not going to lie. I'll be watching every
betting
single
on.
shot Tiger Woods hits at the Masters. The
The
man changed my life in 1997 when he shot a 40 on the front 9 and ended up winning by 12 shots.
Chris, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be watching
It
every
was
single
life
shot
changing
Tiger
for
Woods
me as a
hits.
competitive golfer, a young guy. I've been watching the Masters ever since, and I feel like I've watched every shot Tiger's ever hit at Augusta. So I think he's about minus 110 to make the cut at one of the books that put it up. He has 23 cuts in a row. I'm just going to bet yes on Tiger to make the cut. And I would be lying if I didn't tell you I have to have a fun pizza money bet on Tiger to win the Masters, because I never can count this guy out. But that said, I will say I think his goal is to make the cut and just make it into the weekend. Everybody gotta love to watch Tiger Woods play the Masters. I will be watching on that Masters app, probably the best app I've ever seen on the iPhone. I'll be watching every shot Tiger hits from Thursday on.
Everybody gotta love.
Oh, the good reminder. That is an awesome app for this week. Make sure that you download that onto your phone. Every sport should have an app, even close to as good as the Masters, but no sport does. Give me a fade, not so much a name. Let's talk process-wise. What is a better fade? A golfer that does not have a ton of experience in Augusta, or a golfer does have experience, but they keep performing poorly.
A golfer
Where would
that
you rather
does
go
not
with?
have a ton of experience in Augusta.
So with the Masters, I'm going against it. I'm going against experience, right? So Wyndham Clark won the U.S. Open, and obviously he almost won a couple weeks ago. Fantastic player. It's going to be his first trip to the Masters. I remember watching him at the U.S. Open hitting his left to right little fade. I know on number 18, he hit a really weak slice and was able to make par and win that tournament. You can't bring a weak slice. So I don't want to count him out, but I would definitely just start by fading Wyndham Clark out of the gates here. I think he's 28-1. I don't think that's reasonable. I don't think he really has a strong chance of winning this tournament. I'll pay to see it. So let Wyndham Clark prove me wrong. I'm going against the first timers. Find him in a matchup against a guy who has experience. I would definitely go against Wyndham Clark.
We have about a minute left. I know you also love betting NBA futures. We were just going over the playoff picture and how we might not want to back the Bucks to win it all after what we've seen since Doc took over. Any futures you have your eye on where we could still get a good number about
over the
30
playoff picture and how we might not want to back the
Aaron, I've lost so much money on the Bucks the last week, just thinking they're going to turn it around. What do I see future? I still like Oklahoma City Thunder to make a little bit of a run. The West is crazy right now, but they're so young and powerful. I think they're going to get some experience, maybe, win early with that 2 seed or that 3 seed. I do think they're going to make a little run here. I think you can get some value there. And, it's going to be a tough Wild West, so I'm going to go with a team with a lot of upside there.
Zach, Thunder, 650 right now. BetMGM come out of the Western Conference in the NBA. We appreciate all the Masters looks as well. Enjoy it this week. It's going to be a blast. We appreciate you making the time.
Good stuff, Zach.
Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoy the Masters.
At Zackonomics on Twitter, also covers.com, Zack Price. Mike Rutherford joins us next. We've got a national championship game tonight. Can Purdue upset UConn? We'll discuss it with him next on BetQL Daily.
We'll be right back with BetQL Daily.